This is Football Primetime. I'm your host, Bill Dean. Of course, here with my co-host, because AJ's still on his honeymoon because he's a big jerk, Brett Fitzpatrick. Brought to you by Primetime Radio, courtesy of Mr. Wu behind the glass. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. You name it, we're on it. It's very cool. Sam's very good at what he does, and he gets us on everywhere so that we can come to you and complain about our football teams. Leave us a 5-star review, thumbs up, anything you do for the podcast helps other people kind of find us. And yeah, Brett, I am a football fan, but it's now AFC Richmond. We're talking soccer. I'm going soccer fan.
Are you full in right now?
I am so done with the New York Jets. It hurts because this team, and you'll see the running theme every week is me just complaining about my football team. That's how that happens.
Well, it's football season. We do this until February.
But it's literally been 28 years of my life of complaining about the Jets, so I think it's allowed and real, logical because I'm a Jet fan. You see all these pissy, stats. Jets have not beaten the Patriots in 2,800 days. Barack Obama's the president. Stats come out of the woodwork where it just makes you sick, and to lose like that, 15-10, in a game where your defense played really well, the safety obviously, but they allowed 2 field goals and a touchdown, and the touchdown was a botched play where the guy just got open and kind of ran down the seam, and that was about it. And it was the third string tight end too, which figures. But going into that game, the Jets will give, Zach Wilson one more chance. It's not even one more chance. He's going to keep getting chances. But, we think that he can work with this. We think he can beat the Patriots. He can do what he's going to do. He lays an egg the first half. It was miserable, like record-setting, horrible. And then he comes out, has a drive where – and I also blame the coordinator. Hackett has been terrible. He's running on first down, which just loads the box as usual. So, I'm they bring in Trevor Siemian, okay, good. You got a better backup than Tim Boyle, who's as useless as a boil in my rear. But you bring in Trevor Siemian. He's going to be a backup, and I'm hoping that he's the backup for Zach Wilson this week, and then that's it. I want them to.
You want him in?
Well, yeah, I want him in. I'll take him as the starter right now, and then eventually I want someone to replace him.
Yep.
But I was talking to some people on Facebook and Twitter, and I'm out there just trying to ask some questions, and someone brings up, do we think that maybe they're tanking for one Caleb Williams or one Drake May or whenever the super prospects quarterbacks are? And if you're going to tell me right now that the Jets are going to go 1-15, 1-16, 17-game season, 1-16, and get the number 1 overall pick, where do I sign? Because it would be fantastic to have Caleb Williams backing up Aaron Rodgers for 1 year, learning all he can learn, and then hopefully, off into the sunset.
Yeah, I think you guys should make the shift to Siemian. I think that honestly needs to happen because you just got to look at some of the stats, right? You look at the game. Wilson had 157 yards passing. You can almost do that off of screen passes, but yet he's still at 157. But the stat that's more alarming is you got your best wide receiver, not just a best wide receiver, arguably someone who has the potential to be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, sitting there
Top
with
10.
5 catches for 48 yards. I get that Zach Wilson is having trouble processing defensive schemes and everything like that, but this also is back on the play calling, goes back to Nathaniel Hackett. If you have a quarterback who's not producing, then you just need to get the ball in the hands of your playmakers.
Yeah.
Set up more plays for Garrett Wilson. If Zach Wilson's only going to pass for under 200 yards, 100 of those 200 should be to Garrett Wilson every single game.
Yeah.
And you got to make that simple adjustment first. You guys are now getting the Nathaniel Hackett experience. I got to watch it last year with the Broncos. It's not fun. So enjoy it while you can. But I think moving to Trevor Siemian is a good idea. He's more of a pocket passer.
Yeah.
And honestly, you don't need him to spread the ball around. So you don't need someone to come in and sling it around the field. He just needs to throw the ball to Garrett Wilson.
Absolutely. tunnel vision, Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook, occasionally Alan Lazard, and a tight end. Like I'm all for that.
I think Stafford with Calvin Johnson days, just only throwing it to one guy, and it'll work. Your defense is good enough to where, what's a realistic number for the Jets to win a game? 17 points?
I mean,
15, 17?
I really think 22 is that magic number where you can win pretty much all of your games if you get 22 points and you have a defense like the Jets have. 17 is going to be tough. You're going to win a lot of games. You just let up 15 to the Patriots, so if you get 17, you're going to win. And I just saw that Packers All-Pro left tackle David Bakhtiari, who goes on IR, and the Jets were thinking about trading for this guy, so that's a solid loss. QB Zach Wilson. Jets are trying to prove Joe Namath wrong. How about just trying to prove that you're a competent quarterback? I don't care that you don't want to, like, whatever Joe Namath said, he's right, first of all. Second of all, because he's an alum, he can't have, a negative opinion on the quarterback sucks. He outright sucks. And
I'm sure you saw it, the play where he thought he was going to get sacked, freaked out.
He self-sacked himself.
Fell down, and no one touched him.
I mean, this is the forever. And with Nathaniel Hackett, whatever, I don't care. He was brought here to get Aaron Rodgers, so he did his job. And everyone knows that Aaron Rodgers runs his own offense. So this idiot is going to be there just to kind of tell, hey, Aaron Rodgers, do you want to do this? And Aaron Rodgers will be like, yes, no, or I'll throw my own play. And that's what's going to happen. And now someone that clearly, I don't know if he's good at calling plays. I don't know what he is, but he doesn't know how to do it with a young quarterback. And even totally last year with a vet in Russell Wilson, he still had no idea what he was doing. And that's just, listen, you got us Aaron Rodgers, so I guess I can't really complain. And your job security is that you're going to have a job because they're not going to want to piss off Aaron Rodgers next year and have him leave. So him, Saleh, and Joe Douglas are most likely coming back no matter what, even if they go 1-15. But he's got to get into the coaching room and really sit down and what's the easiest way to help a quarterback? It's quick passing. It's get out of his hands quick, get it going.
College-style offense.
Yeah.
Slants, screens.
Get it out. Get it into your best playmaker's hands, like you just said, Garrett Wilson, and just play that kind of ball. You're not going to have time. The offensive line did pretty well. I'm already drinking because that's just how it is as a Jet fan. Your offensive line's okay. It's not great. It's not horrendous. It could be worse. But they need help just getting the ball to their playmakers quickly, and that's the only thing you do. Slants, quick bubble screens, and then you can start to do play action and hopefully get him moving a little bit downfield. But just quick. I mean, honestly,
look at what the Bengals did last week with a hobbled Joe Burrow. No deep passes down the field. No. Yes, he was still trying to hit them, but Jamar Chase average depth of target was less than 10 yards last week. His average depth of target is usually well over that mark. And that shows me a coach that's making the adjustment. I hear what you're saying with Nathaniel Hackett. It doesn't feel like he makes adjustments. I feel like the offense that he runs works with Aaron Rodgers. Therefore, he tries to make it work with everyone else.
Yeah.
And at some point, Nathaniel Hackett needs to realize, like, yes, a Hall of Fame quarterback can run almost any offense. But Zach Wilson cannot. He needs a simple offense.
He is a dum-dum. You got to play dumb with this kid. He's an idiot. And the only way to help an idiot is to get the ball out of his hands as quickly as possible. All right, enough of my shitty Jets. Let's talk about your shitty Steelers. Listen, I know last week is... I mean, all right, let's just have you start with it, because I thought your team, once again, did not look good. No. And I don't know. I mean, you beat the Raiders, you're 2-1, but Raiders are so bad. You have to be able to blow them out, and you have to get the offense going. They have, one big play with, George Pickens, and just go ahead. Talk to me about your team.
I mean, I'm not too particularly worried about the Steelers right now. Yes, it doesn't look great. The offense is still getting better, though. It's not as consistent, but the thing that, as you hinted on, it's being saved by big plays down the field, which is fine.
It wasn't George Pickens. It was Calvin Austin was the guy. He had like a 72-yard touchdown, right? Yeah.
I mean, we're
his
not going to
stat,
be able to hit that.
2 for 70,
back-to-back
2 for
weeks
72 with a touchdown.
Yeah. So that's
And
back-to-back weeks that we've hit a 70-yard bomb for touchdowns. Obviously, that's not sustainable, but it does help you feel good that we do have the weapons. Obviously, the one thing that is tampering right now, these wide receivers are very young, and Deontay Johnson is not out there. He is going to be the guy that sits in that short, intermediate range of the field and soaks up a bunch of targets. But it is good to see that Pickens is able to handle these double coverage situations that he's seen the past 2 weeks. Obviously, the running game, we talked about it last week. I'm waiting for the change of Jaylen Warren full time. Najee, I want it to be truly what the Cowboys did last year. Let Tony Pollard have the ball between the 20s, and then as soon as you're inside the 20s, sure, put Najee in, because he is impossible to tackle, but he is just so slow.
He's like mud.
He's so slow. I forget who's someone saying it. Like, they were bragging about how he put on like 20 pounds in the offseason.
Yeah, it looks like it was fat. Yeah. His legs.
It didn't get faster. But in general, for the Steelers, the benefit is obviously the Bengals' slow start. Ravens got caught up losing to the Colts.
Yep.
And so we're hanging around. We're right there. Obviously, we have the one division win that we needed over the Browns.
Yeah.
And now we get an easier, hopefully, a relaxing game against the Texans this week, but they did just show up against the Jags, so who knows?
Yep.
But
I'd say
all in all, feeling good. I don't think the Texans are going to be able to handle TJ Watt. This is a player that CJ Stroud has never seen try to tackle him before,
he's so
going to
good
be in his face all day. So I think in terms of that, we're looking good right now. I mean, this was not a team that was going to come out and set the world on fire, but they were in the realm of winning anywhere between 8 and 10 games, and we're still looking like we're going to be right in that realm, looking at one of those last playoff spots.
So you just talked about it, and this was a game in Jacksonville and CJ Stroud as Texans that I thought was going to go much differently, and Texans quietly are putting together quite a season. I mean, they're 1-2, but CJ Stroud, first player in NFL history to have 900 yards through his first 3 games, 4 touchdowns, no picks. He's been very steady, and the defense plays well. D'Amico Ryans has a good coaching staff over there, and he's, getting his guys in every game, just like actually the Arizona Cardinals, which is crazy to think too when they get their win. But we'll go over that in a second. But Texans get the first win against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who we all thought shooing for the division. Does Trevor Lawrence come in and win the MVP? Travis Etienne having a banger of a season. They've been bad, and their defense has been terrible, and their offense can't seem to get. It's 2 straight games where their offense has basically done nothing. What do you think the Jacksonville Jaguars need to do?
I mean, you got to look at Lawrence. I mean, it does stink to be putting it on him, but at the stage that he is in his career, like, this was supposed to be his year, right? Like, as you said, like, he was one of the MVP favorites going into the season. Everyone was expecting another jump from him to be made, and that's honestly what's holding him back. Like, because he's hovering just above a 50% completion percentage. He's close to 60. That's not where you want. That's, for perspective, that's where Joe Burrow is right now. His worst start ever. They're both not doing well. Burrow obviously has the weapons and it can get by, but without Lawrence slinging the ball around the field and finding all these receivers like he was doing in like especially at the end of last season when he looked like he was going to set the world on fire, they have to get back to that type of football. But also, where's the defense? I mean, it showed up against Kansas City, but nothing to be said about the Texans. I mean, this was not a team that they were worried about, and it also frustrates you from a Jaguars perspective. They did their job in basically holding the run in check. I mean, they only allowed 31 yards to Dameon Pierce on 14.
He's been bad.
But if you're the Jags, the group up front did their job. The run was stopped. So how can you give up 37 points when you give up less than 100 yards on the ground? That's tough. Yeah. So obviously you got to look at the secondary in Jacksonville, and you got to look at Trevor Lawrence. Both of them need to step up. You can't be giving up 37 points to the Texans, and you can't only be scoring 17. I'll make a bold prediction. The Steelers will not give up 37 to the Texans this week, and they will score more than 17. Not bold,
man, I hope so.
I hope so. But they have to do better in both those aspects.
Yeah. All right, a couple of the games. Browns beating the Titans. Titans stink. Browns, finally Deshaun Watson comes back and plays well. And, Ford played very well for the Browns. Their defense is legit. Their defense might be top defense in the league. Myles Garrett.
Browns
Did you see him?
Good, but
Myles Garrett for going from side to side, and they just had two tight ends literally
hilarious.
following him. Very funny.
Following him. I've never seen that before. I've never seen
that either.
Well, I've seen double teams, obviously, from the offensive line where they're keying it out and saying, hey, like, we're going to double team that guy to make sure he doesn't get to the quarterback. I've never seen them do it with a tight end and then have the tight end follow him.
Yeah, two tight ends
I've never seen before.
Very funny. Yeah. Lions beating the Falcons. Ritter is not a good quarterback. I think they're going to have to find someone eventually, but because that offense,
it's got the weapons.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're talking about it, obviously there's talk right now about what quarterback is going to get benched first. The Falcons are 2-1, so it's tough to bench Ritter after a 2-1 start. But they have Taylor Heineke. Yeah. I'm not saying Taylor Heineke is amazing, but in my mind, he did enough in Washington to prove to you that he could be a better option than Desmond.
He could be good in that offense because he's one of those guys that he does, keen in on his players, and you can see Jahan Dotson at the end of the year did really well with him, and so did obviously Terry McLaurin was really good with Heineke as quarterback. You have two stud wide receivers. I say wide receivers because Pitts is essentially a wide receiver. And then the running back, your offense could be very, very good. And you have an offensive line. You have maybe the best running back in the league right now outside of Christian McCaffrey. You just do it. You got to put him in. You got to start winning games convincingly. Lions obviously.
This isn't a rebuild year for the Falcons. Their division is bad enough to where they came into this year with the thought of making the playoffs. So you're sitting at 2-1. You got the Jags this week.
Yep.
I think if Ritter struggles and they lose to the Jags,
I think he's done.
You want to win.
Yeah, you want to win. So Lions, though, Jared Goff, another really good game. And I don't know, it's only 243 yards, but he was just steady, and he finally breaks his interception streak. Jahmyr Gibbs, 80 yards rushing, and you could see that he is a playmaker. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown is just lights out. So
my favorite guy from the Lions this year, Laporta.
Rashid Shaheed
looks like
Laporta
at the tight end spot. To me right now, he's their number 2 target on that offense, and I don't see it changing by any means. Even when Jameson Williams comes back. I love Jameson Williams. He looks great, but I mean, he's only played like 6 games in the NFL right now. Hard to say that he's going to outperform someone who's currently getting 6 to 10 targets a game. It's like, he looks like a solid option for Jared Goff.
And he makes up with those 6 to 10 targets. He does things with them that other people usually don't. They drop or he's a very good player. Packers over the Saints, 18-17. Jordan Love, doing pretty well still. Haven't really seen him fluster yet, but I assume it's coming sometime soon.
This will be a test with him tonight because against the Lions, he's got to put up more than 18. So we'll see. Most likely a shootout tonight. We'll see if Jordan Love can keep up.
Yeah. Chiefs smoked the Bears. Bills smoked the Commanders. Cardinals get their first win over the Cowboys. Dak Prescott once again back to a pumpkin.
That was
and he didn't really do much the first 2 weeks.
Week. Biggest surprise.
The biggest surprise? I might. How about a team dropping 70 on another team? That was a surprise.
Okay, that was up there. It's a tie. I'm actually I said it. I didn't understand what the Cardinals were doing.
Yeah.
Joshua Dobbs doesn't look that bad.
He looks pretty good. Yeah.
I hate to say it. Like, I don't want to admit that they might have been right. I don't know how everyone else didn't see whatever the Cardinals saw in Joshua Dobbs, but I'm not saying they're going to go anywhere, but it doesn't look terrible.
No. And James Conner's been good for them.
Well, he's just a beast. For someone who gets a knack for being injury prone and always hurt. He just constantly delivers.
Yeah. Hollywood Brown was good in that game. Cardinals with a good win. Talked about the Steelers, Eagles smoking the Bucks, and Bengals just barely beating the Rams. But the two games that I liked the most was the Chargers Vikings, which both teams at the end were like, "Here, you have the ball, you win. Here, you have the ball, you win." And if the Chargers had not won that game, I think Brandon Staley would not have been on the plane ride home. I really do think that he would have gotten absolutely fired. 0-3.
Yeah, he's lost too many games with going for it on fourth down, and he almost blew it again.
Yes.
I get the whole metrics thing, which actually brings me back to the Steelers-Raiders game. That was the first time I've seen a coach in recent years go against the metrics. If you were watching the Steelers-Raiders game, Raiders down 8, or was it 8 or 6? Either way, they elect to kick a field goal. They were down 10 and kicked a field goal. And everyone was like, what in the world are you doing? But I mean, I get the analytics trend, but Staley obviously takes it to another level. And I'm with you. If they don't win that game, that's like Herbert's record. If you switched all of his fourth quarter losses,
he'd be really good. Isn't he 500? I think he's 500.
Ooh, that's a good prediction.
I'm pretty sure he is 500. Yeah, he is 500 because the Chargers are actually 500 in their career too.
Yeah, he's 500 in his career. That's nuts.
No, it's bad. 405 yards, 3 touchdowns. Him and like we said, him and Mahomes went off, right? And like Mahomes in the first half, I think he had 272 and 3 yards, and then three touchdowns, then he was set. But he has 405 yards, 3 touchdowns. Keenan Allen, 18 receptions for 215 yards in the touchdown. He was lights out. Alex Madison, I was very happy for him. He had a good game, 20 carries, 93 yards. He had a couple of receiving yards, especially after the bullshit that fans on Twitter were giving
Madison's
him.
Game, that was the ugliest good game I've ever seen.
Yes, but he needed it.
He was 2 fumbles away from that being an absolute disaster, and both fumbles were saved from him barely being down, and just barely. So he was. I'm interested to see. He needed a good game. I don't know if it showed well enough that he played well.
Yeah.
He's definitely going to need a good game this week, but I'm expecting him to split some carries with Cam Akers now this week.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to really step it up if he's going to keep that starting job.
And the route of all routes, something I love seeing because Sean Payton is a douche. Dolphins routing the Broncos 70-20. It's the second most points scored by an NFL team, which was 1966 was the first time, 72 points. I was really hoping they'd go for that field goal at the end just to really rub it in. I don't know how you could do that to your team. I think it's actually more disrespectful to not go for the record. I think you need to, because records are meant to be broken, and to have it so close to you, and you clearly they just took a knee because they didn't want to really show. But I think you kick that field goal and you set the record for points. I think that's a cool thing. And really, the most disrespectful thing is Sean Payton's defense being like, "Oh, hey, let's just run up 70 on ourselves." So how about you stop them? So for all the idiots that are like, "Oh, that's the disrespectful football. You shouldn't score 70." How about the defense actually tackles or actually makes plays?
Oh yeah,
it was ridiculous.
If you look at the Broncos, and you remember 2 years ago when they were talking about signing Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, the narrative was the Broncos were just missing a quarterback.
Yeah.
When are we going to change that narrative and say maybe they're actually missing a whole lot? Because at some point, yes, Nathaniel Hackett probably had the worst coaching ever last year that I've ever seen. I've never seen 2-minute clocks get handled poorly as that. But I mean, now you have Sean Payton, and no one's going to say Sean Payton's a bad head coach. I mean, we can forget about Bounty Gate and all that stuff like that, but the guy knows how to run a football team, to say the least.
Yeah.
And you just got dropped 70 on you. At what point are we maybe going to shift it and say maybe the defense isn't as good as we thought, and this Broncos team is missing a lot of things?
Yes, they're missing a lot of things. 746. I was looking for the total yards, which is an NFL record. They had no Jalen Waddle, which you would assume that with 726 yards. You'd assume Jalen Waddle was somewhere intricate with 726 yards. He was not playing in the game. Your 2 running backs, Raheem Mostert, 4 touchdowns each between him and Devon Achane. Or Achan, I think actually is how his name was pronounced. He corrected everyone. Good for him. It was an epic smackdown. So much fun to watch. Tua had a really good game, 309 yards, 4 touchdowns. Mike White, Jets savior Mike White, goes 2 for 2, 67 yards, a touchdown. He actually had a better QBR than Tua Tagovailoa did. And Russ actually didn't play bad, 300 yards, a touchdown, interception. He even had a couple rushes. They're just... Cortland Sutton had a good game, and that was about it. Their defense just bent over and took it. And Achane, 203 yards, Mostert 82. They had 350 on rushing on the game. They're the only team to have 350 yards rushing and 376, like 350 and 350 between passing and rushing. Tyreek Hill, monster game. Robbie Chosen Anderson took that monster 68-yard touchdown. I'm actually impressed with the Miami Dolphins. I really thought that they were going to be the third team in the division, and obviously maybe they would be third if the Jets still had Aaron Rodgers. But their offense, I thought, was just 2 guys in a cloud of dust, and it's 4 guys in a cloud of dust. They are.
All will be revealed for the Dolphins this weekend.
Yeah,
because they got to take on the Bills. And
so let's talk about that.
The Dolphins haven't really played much of anyone so far.
Yeah,
this is going to be a true test. I mean, just to show you how bad people think of the Broncos and their defense now, the Bears and Broncos have the highest over/under for Week 4.
Yes,
these are not good teams. That's basically Vegas saying that
both lowest over/under, right?
Terrible. What?
Oh, they had the highest over/under. That's right. Yeah. That's bad. There were 2 games this week that I was really looking forward to from the beginning of the season. It was Miami and Buffalo, and it was the Jets, Kansas City. Now Sunday night stinks. And we'll see how Buffalo's defense does against this high-flying Miami offense, and we'll see if Miami can stop Josh Allen, it's going to be. I'd take the over on this game. The points going to be crazy. Any other games you like from the slate that you're looking at as possible playoff kind of games?
Really like tonight's game, to be honest.
Detroit and
Packers.
Yeah.
I mean, the winner of this game probably wins that division. So this is a massive game for them. Outside of that, we got a couple other division games going on. We got Ravens-Browns, which is going to be a big one. Both desperately, or not desperately, but both really need to get a win. But then you also got some other good division classes. Buccaneers-Saints could be a good one on Sunday as well. And then, honestly, Patriots-Cowboys, not a great matchup on paper, but Cowboys desperately need to bounce back. And if the Patriots get a win, they're right back in the hunting thing. So those are some of the games I have my eye on. One game that I would avoid watching at all costs would probably be the Cardinals-49ers. I just think that the 49ers are going to make the Cardinals look terrible.
I think so too.
And if you really like watching bad football, once again, the Broncos do play the Bears. I mean, you're not going to get anything good out of that game, but if you like bad football, that'll be a great game to watch.
Seahawks Giants is going to be interesting. We'll see. Geno double revenge game. Does he come and beat his the other team that kind of let him loose? Kenneth Walker's been really good. DK's had a solid season, and we'll see if the Giants can come back from that loss against San Francisco 49ers on Thursday night last week.
Yeah, it'll be tough for them. I don't expect Barkley to play. They finally came out and finally said that he had a high ankle sprain. Well, ankle sprains, that's usually like a 4-week recovery.
6 weeks.
Near superhuman, but we're looking at like 2.5 weeks here. So I'd be shocked if he's out there. Also, not expecting to see Austin Eckler this weekend either. So, still big game running backs.
That's going to suck. I was really hoping that he'd come back, especially because Joshua Kelly's been awful. He is not a good running back.
He's been bad, but, I mean, if you heard what the nice thing about Austin Eckler is he's very outspoken and tells us everything that's going on. Yeah. So, he did come out and admit, he says, I can run full speed, I can't cut. So,
that's kind of important.
Not a great sign to get out there on Sunday.
Kind of important. Eagles Commanders, like we said, interesting game. Both, Commanders 2-1, Eagles 3-0. We'll see how Sam Howell does. He's 5 interceptions. He's been not great the last 2 weeks. AJ Brown got a little more of the football in week 3. No one could stop the quarterback push. Ravens Browns going to be interesting. Watson versus Lamar. Amari Cooper's having a couple good games back to back. that's kind of started the emergence of Deshaun Watson. And really, that Broncos-Bills game, 1:00, has got to be the game everyone's going to want to watch.
Don't worry. I think it's either next week or the week after the NFL can start flexing out the primetime games and giving us the optimal matchup. So only a week or two more before we start getting our good matchups on Sunday Night Football.
We'll just finish it out with a couple of things. Chiefs-Jets that Sunday night was going to be good. You're going to see, Mahomes versus Aaron Rodgers. It kind of hasn't changed, or, obviously big change with Zach Wilson. I think the defense can hold them in for a little bit. If the offense can do any sort of, miracle work and they could get a win, this would be fantastic. I'm not expecting it. And that's where it kind of sucks for the Jets in the next few weeks. They're going to have a litany of good teams coming at them. Kansas City this week, they're at Denver next week, and, we'll see if Sean Payton has any, tricks up his sleeve, versus Philadelphia, and then at Giants after the bye. So, they theoretically could go 1-5, and that's not going to look very good.
It's not great, but I mean, this was the situation even when Rodgers was healthy, right? Like everyone was aware that Jets had a gauntlet to start the season.
Yeah, but I was kind of expecting 3-3 coming to the bye in week 7. I would have said loss to Buffalo. I would have said loss to KC, and I would have said loss to Philly. And instead they beat Buffalo. I would have thought they could have also beat Dallas and New England and Denver with Aaron Rodgers. So, 3-3 would have been happiness for me at the time, but that's obviously not going to be the case. That back half of the schedule looks like it could be something if they could get some sort of a semblance of quarterback where they can, possibly get a win. So I'm not holding my breath anymore, and it's, always upsetting, but that is the life of a Jets fan.
Sorry, you're more than welcome to watch the Steelers.
Yeah, I don't like the Steelers, so I'm going to leave them at that one. All right, we'll do trivia. We'll get out of here. Justin Jefferson saying he's tired of trade talk for the winless Vikings. Listen, you guys are most likely going to lose your quarterback at the end of the year, so why not get something for him now?
It's going to heat up even more as the season goes on. So
yeah, it's a hot seat, and I like O'Connell. I think he's still a good coach, and I think he deserves to be there. They need more help than just the best wide receiver in football.
As we discussed previously, most hollow record in the NFL last year, and it's starting to show.
Yeah. All right. I figured we would do a trivia question, get out of here. Which receiver, and I just lost my question. What running back had the most yards his rookie year? So prior to Devon Achane getting 205 yards as a rookie last week, who had the most rushing yards prior to Devon Achane's 205?
So we're looking at a single game performance. Oof. Could we have Barkley maybe in that category?
Saquon was not it.
I think of other guys that started off because Henry was behind DeMarco Murray for his first year or two. Who else? You got me on that one. What do you got?
Yeah, so it's actually Jerome Bettis with the Rams back in 1993. He had 212 yards rushing.
The bus. As a rookie. Wow. That was back when before quarterbacks started emerging. So it's
that's true. Yeah, 1993. Jerome the Bus Bettis. There are some other. I was trying to find the other guys, but I'm pretty sure Adrian Peterson had a pretty good 180-something yard game. Obviously, Peterson with the all-time rookie rushing record with 296 in a game, followed by Jonathan Taylor, Indianapolis 2021. Actually, that was Taylor's. Oh no, that was Taylor's second year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we had the 253. Yeah, he had 2 rushing touchdowns. Not bad. All right, Sam, you can hit it. We'll be back next week as always. It's going to be a fun week of football, especially if you're not a Jet fan. And for Brett and for AG on his honeymoon, who will be back next week, this is Football Primetime.